Today's lesson is going to be on literacy and reading. It should be a very quick lesson and it shouldn't take you very much time. Afterwards, you will be assigned an assignment that I will give you part of your remote time to work on. I was going to start out with reading you guys a story, but since we're in class, I'm not going to read it to you. It's a really cute story. It's called Please Louise by Toni Morrison and Slade Morrison, if you want to check it out. It's about a little girl who is afraid of the world, and she is afraid of using her imagination, and she learns that through the power of books and through reading, she is able to use her imagination to be more brave and courageous, and it has a really good message to it. So I'd recommend reading it if you have time, but I'm not going to read it to you in class. So I want you guys to think to yourself for a second, why is it important to read to children? If you were not read to as a child, maybe think of if you were read to, if certain things may have come easier to you, or if there could have been things that you missed out on. If you were read to a child and you loved it, why did you love it? Were there things that you learned because of it? Think about why it is important to read to a child. I remember when I was young, my mom used to read to me every night, and it was something it was a really good experience for me and my sister, and we read a lot of books, and we got to spend that time with my mom, and it was fun. So think about that for a second. Why is it important to read to children? So the term literacy means the ability to read and write. So if you are illiterate, it means you cannot read or write. That's what illiterate means. So literacy is the ability to read and write. When should you begin reading to a child? Think about that. What age do you think it is appropriate to start reading stories to children? It's actually recommended to begin reading to a child from prenatal development and continue making it a part of the daily routine. So you should actually start reading to your child while you're pregnant. How often should you read to a child? You should read to a child every single day for at least 20 minutes. If your child really, really likes reading, you can obviously do more time than that. If they really struggle with sitting still, like every single child does, you can split those 20 minutes up. It doesn't have to be like 20 minutes solid. It can be 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, 5 minutes here, so on and so forth. But you should be reading to your child at least 20 minutes every single day. And then how can you encourage literacy with your child? How can you, as a parent or caregiver, make reading something that they enjoy and something that they look forward to every time that you sit down to read to them? You want to be able to interact with your child while you are reading with them. Encourage an interest in books and reading by choosing books that appeal to children and their ages. You're not going to sit down with a 2-year-old and break out Harry Potter. It's probably a little bit too old for them. However, that would be a great story to read to like a 7, 8, or 9-year-old, one that doesn't necessarily need to have the entertainment of pictures and voices. When they're younger, you want to definitely choose stories that match their age level a little bit and uses language they understand and pictures they understand and things like that. Why reading to children is so important. Reading together develops a bond between the parent and child. Reading to a child helps language development, reading readiness, school readiness, and bridges literacy gaps. Nursery rhymes enhance a child's cognitive skills. Books help a child learn to separate fact from fantasy, build independence, and encourage self-esteem. Books are a great way to understand and discuss real-life experiences like divorce, death, fears, etc. There are, I'm pretty sure there's a children's book written for every single event that you could possibly not really be sure how to talk to your child about. We'll read actually a few in this class. I read a story to you guys about death and how to talk to a child about death, and the story is really, really great. There's also a story that I read to you guys about sex, and it's written for children so they can understand it without it being too complicated and it being on their level and them understanding like how babies are made. Books really, really help teach children things that maybe you don't necessarily know how to teach them very well, and books are a really good way to do that. This was an activity we were going to do at the daycare, but we cannot because of COVID, unfortunately. And then this was your story. This was your assignment that we were going to do, but I've edited it for COVID purposes to do it online. So what you're going to do for your assignment is you are going to create your own children's story. Step 1, you are going to create a PowerPoint presentation. Step 2, create a title slide. Then that will be the title of your story. Step 3, write your story. Each slide you create after the title slide will be text using appropriate language, length, and size for a children's story. Step 4, include a picture on every single slide. And Step 5, submit finished children's story on Canvas by due date. I did an example for you guys, so we're going to go through that. Okay, so here's the example that I did. It's called, I wrote this in a total of 20 minutes, so don't judge it very much, please. But it's called Henrietta's First Day of School. So this is my title page. This is what you would do, and I wrote by Melissa Hobbs. You would title your story and put a picture on your title page, and then write by your name. Okay. Henrietta was scared to go to her first day of school. I did some text, and I included a picture of Henrietta. Henrietta cried to her mama, "Please, mama, don't make me go to school. I want to stay home with you." Now, one thing that I did to make this picture more appropriate, because I wanted the porcupine to look the same, be the same porcupine in every single image. So it matched a children's story. So I used the same porcupine, but I just looked up sad eyes, and I pasted those eyes over top of her normal eyes. And then I looked up tears, and I pasted those tears onto the eyes as well, so it looks like she's crying. And it's the same porcupine as before. I can help you with this if you have a hard time with PowerPoint, but it's super easy to do. All you gotta do is take the picture and either search it on Google using the transparency for in the settings, or you can remove the background of the rest of the image. But so Henrietta cried to her mama, "Please, mama, don't make me go to school. I want to stay home with you." Mama Porcupine told Henrietta, "Don't worry, sweetheart. School is fun, and you will make all kinds of new friends." "But Mama," Henrietta said, "no one will want to play with me because of my quills." "Trust me, sweetie, you will make friends, and your quills won't matter to the right friends." Henrietta went to school and sat quietly at her desk, dreading the moment the teacher would release the students for recess. Again, I used the same porcupine, and then I looked up worried eyes and found some transparent ones so they didn't have a background, and I pasted them on top of her other eyes. And then I looked for a school desk using the transparent tool and pasted that on top of Henrietta, so it looks like she's sitting at a desk. And then on recess, Henrietta tried to join a soccer game. "You can't play with us," the other children quipped. "You'll pop the ball." Henrietta tried to join a game of kickball. "You can't play with us," the other children quipped. "You will pop the ball." Henrietta tried to join a game of tetherball. "You can't play with us," the other children quipped. "You will pop the ball." So I did Henrietta again. I did the porcupine, and then I did the sad eyes on top. And then I found a soccer ball, a kickball, and then a tether ball, all with transparent backgrounds that I pasted on there. And then I made the tether ball kind of go behind the words by making the text come in front. I can help you with all of these things if you need help making your with your PowerPoint format. Henrietta sulked over to the sandbox and thought to herself, Mama was wrong. No one wants to play with me." As Henrietta sat alone and crying, she heard, "Hey there, do you want to come play jacks with me?" Henrietta looked up and saw a little girl from her class, Sally Skunk. And so I just found a picture of a sand background, put it on the background, and then I put a skunk on top, and then I looked up for a picture of jacks and did the exact same thing. I just made sure none of them had backgrounds, and that was how I did that one. And then I did the same thing, only I added Henrietta into this one. "Sure, I would love to play jacks," Henrietta said. "Great, my name is Sally. What's your name?" "My name is Henrietta." Henrietta and Sally became best friends, and every day Henrietta is thankful she went to school that first day and met Sally. The end. So basically, that's what you're doing is you're writing a story. Your story has to have a lesson in it. So like my lesson was about accepting yourself for who you are, being friendly, making friends, things like that. Being courageous, that was kind of the underlying theme of my story. So whatever story you write has to have a purpose and a theme, something that's supposed to be teaching a child. Every slide has to have a text, and every slide has to have pictures. You need to have at least 5 slides, but it can be more. It cannot be less. And there has to be, your story has to make sense, and it has to end, if that makes sense. It can't just stop randomly with no end in mind. So that is your reading literacy lesson and your assignment, and you'll be able to submit that on Canvas by the due date. And when I see you in class again, we will be moving on to nature versus nurture.